Strict medical supervision was essential, and a doctor with specialist expertise would be present throughout. We all knew that every year there are at least 10 deaths from fly agaric poisoning in Europe. The fresh mushroom is always toxic and often fatal. The dried mushroom is much less toxic, but can still be dangerous in overdose. Just after 4:31, when Ed had been hooked up to the EEG machine, we were ready to begin the experiment. Ed and Johnny took a precise dose of the dried mushroom. Then we waited. "30 minutes in, something started to happen.
Towards.
I'd say there's a definite sense, I don't know, for me anyway, there's like a definite sense that reality is altering slightly. Or my perception is altering slightly.
I have a definite sense of the static in the air.
Personally, I'm having trouble finding words to get out of my mouth at the moment. It seems like my kind of rational brain seems to be turning off.
I don't have really strong sensations. I get the odd wave where I feel, I don't know, that my touch has maybe changed slightly. Things feel slightly different, but nothing very strong yet. I do actually have quite a strange sensation. It's almost as if there's a weight, like something heavy, inside my head, just under this bit, sort of at the top, and it's being pulled up and sort of pushing my head down, and it's quite strong.
Are you feeling anxious?
No, not really.
Okay, let's just try your temperature.
Johnny was feeling relatively unchanged, but Cosmo's physiological test showed the mushroom was taking effect.
According to this, you have a temperature of 100.4 or 38 degrees. It's a little bit raised.
Really? What would it normally be?
37. So it's just slightly raised. Your eyes are a little bit red, aren't they? Are they usually that colour, or are they?
Not usually.
No. So you've got injected conjunctiva.
What would be causing that?
I'm sure it's a drug effect, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's probably why you're warm. The blood vessels in your skin, the outer blood vessels have got a bit larger, which is probably why there's more blood going to your skin, which is why it warms up a bit.
Is that all linked with the increased heart rate?
Probably.
The temperature?
Sort of abounding circulation. You cover your eyes with our blindfold.
Cosmo had told us that people who are hallucinating may show lots of activity in the visual cortex of the brain on the EEG, even though they can't see anything.
Close your eyes.
The results of Ed's EEG tests would take several hours to process. The experiment was still in its infancy, but the effects were starting to get stronger. Ed and Johnny wanted to be outdoors.
Well, how long do you think it's been since we took?
I have no idea. My sense of time is completely gone, actually.
Yeah.
No sense,
Mine too.
really no sense of time at all. I doubt I could even count the seconds at the moment. It just doesn't seem like there's any point in it at all.
It's almost like I'm two people in one. There's this one person that's completely sober, you know, and he's looking at you, and I'm talking to you as I was talking to you sort of half an hour ago before I took anything. But the other half's sort of completely different, sort of very speedy, sort of heightened energy, you know, moving around. So I'm not torn between the two. It's quite interesting.
Reports had suggested that one of the initial effects of the fly agaric can be sedative, and indeed Johnny fell asleep. It's only on waking that the full effects of the mushroom were said to begin to take hold. For Ed, those effects were building more steadily. He was now beginning to have visual effects, and we returned to the location that we had visited earlier.
When I'm looking at the wall, it's sometimes quite hard for me to focus on the details of the wall because what's happening between me and the wall is more interesting in the air.
What's happening there?
It's like the air's come alive, it's taken on substance.
And how does it look to you?
Well, it's not even totally visible.
Yes.
There's a big suggestion of the air being made up of much larger units which are kind of moving around in different ways and different changing shape, and sometimes when it changes shape you get sort of bars of light moving around or little pinpoints of light jumping about and lots of little patterns of lights doing interesting things in front of me. Look, my hands and oh, blimey. Just here, this layer I was talking about that's got a blanket surrounding my head is totally fuzzy. I can't, well I can see through it, but it's a total blur. It's like when you've got running eyes or something, totally blurred like that. Yeah, and that's just like a layer.
You're looking at Andrew here.
Yeah.
Tell us how he looks. Does he have any surrounding phenomena?
Yeah, Andrew has a bit of a heat haze around him. It's very much like a heat haze in the desert. It's like, yeah, the air's still transparent, but it's shimmering, it's wavering around him. Mostly around his head.
Meanwhile, Johnny woke up.
It's quite strange. Not unpleasant though. Yeah, it's quite interesting to look at. It's not something you see every day when you're watching telly. I think Ed woke me up, and my visual experience was something I'm still getting. It's like, if I look at that point there, that's sort of being zipped or dragged, you know, almost like, imagine what you're seeing is a screen across my screen, so it looks like it's moving, and it's moving at sort of rhythmical intervals, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you know, constantly. Everything I'm looking at, apart from this sort of one corner, is moving. This is going to sound so odd, I'm tempted not to say this, but this is what the music sounds like. I can almost see the music coming out of the stereo. It's not a colour, it's just, I don't know, imagine like a car zipping by and you maybe see just a trace on the road, and then I can see it. What I'm seeing sort of zipping off, yeah, and leaving a base which is a square of grass, like a square patch of grass. And this music shoots out, rebounds, it's clear, it rebounds, then it has some dark colour, and it bounces inside the square. Does that make sense? No, of course not. But I'll explain it again.
Feeling. You're looking at the tree.
Well, yeah, it grabbed me.
Michael was looking for echoes of ancient beliefs and religions, of empathy with nature or visions of natural spirits.
The first bird. There you are, there they are, something like that. The other birds. We know. Acknowledgement. They're asking each other what we're doing.
I think that part of the evidence might well be the fact that he was interpreting the bird song as a language of the birds, and he was in fact telling us precisely what he felt the birds were saying. He was able to interpret, to translate their conversations for us.
I'm not sure that that was going much beyond the kind of interpretation that you or I, if we'd been paying particular attention to that bird song, would also have caught with echoes of the rhythm of phrases in our own language. But it's clearly interesting that he was so sensitive to that and was responding, and his mind was putting interpretations on the sensations that were coming into it.
You know, they're just being birds. They just want to know if we're a predator or not, or what the hell we're doing here in their space. You know, they've gone quieter now. They've got used to us. The alarm's over.
That's right.
Now they're talking amongst themselves.